Mm.
Okay. Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. We're going to talk tonight about, again, the intent and purpose of what we're doing here in trying to reconcile a master trust account, or actually what we're doing is establishing the master trust account. And once we get that, or part of establishing that is proving an official record. Domestic record, each of the following evidence is an official record or an entry in it. Entry in it. Remember, I've been speaking about transition through the mail or entry into the mail system. This is very important, and I'll show you in regards to why here in a short minute. but it's all relative to lease of state, county, or privately owned lands, period of lease or rental. Title 43 is public lands. Administration of leased lands. So now we're talking about public lands under administrative procedure. So we haven't talked about judicial yet. Availability of contributions received, and this is the funding source. It is known as a contribution. What is a contribution? It is a gift. What is a gift? It is a tithe. What is a tithe? It is the modern term tax. 315.4, disposition of receipts. Availability for leasing of land. In regards to receipts, we're talking about Article 38 of the Libra Code, wherein the commander shall cause the issuance of receipts to be received, and the spoliated owner may exchange in return for indemnity. Public lands generally, grazing districts, protection, administration, regulation, improvements of districts, rules and regulations, This is something I'll be digging into when we're talking about lands under National Forest Administration. Administration of leased lands is all of these possessions that the banks and the post office and all these government entities claim to have. They are in fact leased public lands, meaning a private entity has leased the public land for their possession rights for providing private services. 315F of the same public lands code is the homestead entry within district or withdrawn lands. So we're not going to enter the district. We're going to show that the proper entry hasn't been made into the district, and therefore we're going to withdraw that land from the district, and its classification is going to be private according to our preference.
Keith,
Yes.
did you start early?
No, I did not. Started at 8 o'clock and room opens at 5 till.
Okay, so I'm only a few minutes late. All right, man, thanks.
So then we read the next one, and this is where we're going to start talking about 19 CFR 149.3 data elements. Data elements. Now, this is customs duties, Customs and Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury, importer security filing, shipments intended to be entered into the United States, which is districts, and shipments intended to be delivered to foreign trade zones in those districts. The United States grants foreign trade zones to the states through their accession. Each state is a foreign trade zone. In each state, they have their districts broken down to counties. Each county is granted a foreign trade zone under the county name by the state, which is a secondary grant to the primary grant of the United States. Further, each municipal township or city or anything like that is granted a further foreign trade zone. Each resident that uses a federal address with a federal zip code is operating as a foreign agent, again, under another grant as resident in a foreign trade zone. Every house is considered a foreign trade zone because it's in that district. Property has been entered into that district And it has been intended for a foreign trade zone because the land itself has not been withdrawn and reclassified as private according to our preferences. Because we have all our lives been giving data elements that we don't need to. Every time that officer pulls us over, he wants our name and address. Here it tells us seller, buyer, importer of record. We are the importer of the record, or the foreign trade zone applicant identification number. So we are either importing a record number or a foreign trade zone applicant identification number, or as a ship to party. Every last one of these can give a widely recognized, commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name and address. So why are we giving out names and address? We shouldn't be. Under 19
So they
U.S.
can open an account.
Okay, what?
So they can open that account.
Well, so they can access the account. That account,
Yeah,
you can give the number to the account instead of the name and address. When you give the number, they're not the one giving the number, you are. When you give the name and address, they use the name and address to get the number and then give the number as the creditor. You're supposed to give that number or provide a mark in lieu of the number, name, and address. Okay. 1623 of the Customs and Duties is regards to the Tariff Act of 1930. Bonds and other security. When we look back here at 1943 or 19 USC 143.9, remember I talked about the ship to party? The country of origin, country of manufacture, production, or growth of the article. Growth of the article based upon the import laws, rules, and regulations of the United States. Commodity HTS US number, duty, statistical. This is the Vital Statistics, Bureau of Vital Statistics, regulated by the Department of Commerce, and it is the first element of statistics when they issue the birth certificate. Reporting number, under which the article is classified in the Harmonized Tariff Schedule of the United States. So when we reclassify as private, we're no longer in that tax classification. We're no longer under the Harmonized Tariff Schedule of the United States. And the HTS US number must be provided to the 6-digit level. The HTS US number may be provided up to the 10-digit level. So that's telling us there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 5 different levels of numbers that you can use. So again, then when we go back to 16 or 19 US code, if we look at 1613, it talks about the disposition of proceeds of forfeited property. The property that's forfeited is the data elements that you've been giving all your life. You've been forfeiting all of it. It's all been voluntary. You forfeited it, and they've been making profit off of it. Seizure and summary sale. Remember that court docket I showed everybody? All those judgments were summary judgments for summary sale of a debt. And again, it's according to the Tariff Act of 1930. Seizure. Sale is unlawful. The sale is unlawful. If the sale of any vessel, vehicle, aircraft, merchandise, or baggage forfeited under the customs laws in the district in which seizure thereof was made. In other words, if they're using the municipal code for their seizure laws, they have practice multiple jurisdictions. They can only seize by way of the federal code. This is activated as well by the Constitution in Article 5 of the Bill of Rights. They have to have necessity of military use. Military use, not sale. Military use. Seizure, judicial forfeiture proceedings. Again, their use isn't to make profit. Their use is for use. 1609 talks about summary forfeiture and sale. Now we know what the summary judgments are. The summary judgment is that you voluntarily forfeited it, therefore giving them a right to sell it. And notice, folks, we're going backwards in these codes. That's why I keep trying to tell you, start reading things from back to front, and they'll make better sense. 1608 talks about seizure claims, judicial condemnation. Under those judicial condemnations, we're going to assert our right of redemption of the land because they have made a commercial condemnation on the land. Everything they possess is for a commercial business opportunity, not for tendering the earth to replenish her. They have covered her with a scab upon her. Those parking lots and those concrete slabs where they put their buildings. 1607 talks about seizure value $500,000 or less, prohibited merchandise, transporting conveyances. Notice of seizure, if the value of such seized vehicle or vessel, vehicle, aircraft, merchandise, or baggage does not exceed $500,000. Such seized merchandise is merchandise the importation of which is prohibited. In other words, they're saying if you can't seize something worth at least $500,000, it's prohibited. Such seized vehicle or vessel, vehicle, or aircraft was used to import, export, transport, or store any controlled substance or listed chemical. Such seized merchandise is any monetary instrument within the meaning of section 5312A3 of Title 31. Non-financial trade or business. Monetary instrument means United States coins and currency. Commercial paper. There are two forms of money: coins or commercial paper. As the Secretary may prescribe by regulation, coins and currency of a foreign country, traveler's checks, bearer negotiable instruments. That certificate of live birth, you have it, and it is a bearer negotiable instrument. Bearer investment securities, bearer securities, stock on which title is passed on delivery, can also be considered the certificate of live birth. And similar material, other representatives of value. As the Secretary of Treasury shall provide by regulation for purposes of section 5316 and 5331, checks, drafts, notes, money orders. Commercial paper is an order for money. It is a money order or similar form or similar material, and other similar instruments which are drawn on or by a foreign financial institution and are not in bearer form. So you can write your affidavit up. Like I said, it does not have to be the actual bearer negotiable instrument. It can be a similar material written by yourself. You do not need the certificate. You can just impose the truth of the fact that it is there and they have one in their possession. Pure and simple. The appropriate customs officer shall cause a notice of the seizure of such articles and the intention to forfeit and sell or otherwise dispose of the same according to the law to be published for at least 3 consecutive weeks. So not only do they have to have the appropriate custom officers cause a notice, it has to be published 3 weeks. It has to be by the customs officer, and they have to give you a receipt. Written notice of seizure together with information on the applicable procedures shall be sent to each party who appears to have an interest in the seized article. Pure and simple. The next one, seizure appraisement. Remember, we were talking back here about classification and preference. We're talking about our own representative of value according to 18 USC 8 obligations and other securities of the United States. We have seized a certificate of live birth and we put our appraisement on it. Attach it to it.
Let me ask one question, Chief. When
Sure.
you talk about they got to do an article, is that, I mean, about publication? Do that include even when you go to jail when they seize your person?
That's what that publication is in the newspaper is. So-and-so has been arrested. They are operating as a customs officer and putting a notice in the paper. But what they're not doing is they're not putting it up in the legal notices and they're not putting it in there for 3 weeks in a row.
Right. So would that violate all these people who going to jail and they're not doing that?
Yeah, they're not following process at all. They don't have the proper entry document to begin with. That's what I'm saying. Nothing is properly entered. None of them has that revenue stamp on the top right saying that they have had a capital tax transfer and the tax has been paid. None of them. The next one is seizure, custody, and storage. And this is why they have to sell it, because they can't actually use it. So they have to put it in this, they have it in custody and they have to store it. And that storage takes up space on their premises, which is leased. And so they have to compensate for that space. So they pass that cost on to somebody for custody and storage. Generally yourself, when you leave jail, they have you sign release documents, which is actually, again, releasing your personal services to take care of the custody and the storage fees. That's all it is. The next one, 1604, seizure, prosecution, and notice it breaks right in it. It says 11, see codification note below. Very important here. And I'm going to post all these links for everybody. It shall be the duty of the Attorney General of the United States. This is a military post, people. Attorney General of the United States immediately to inquire into the facts of cases reported to him by customs officers and the laws applicable to them, applicable thereto. They're not giving them notice to the Attorney General. They're not reporting these to the Attorney. That's what we've got to start doing. U.S. Department of State Attorney General. And it appears probable that any fine, penalty, or forfeiture has been incurred by reason of such violation. Sorry, they've made a seizure and it has not been appropriated by the proper officers of appropriate customs duties and obligations. It was done by a municipal officer who seized my automobile in his private capacity, for the recovery of which the institution of proceedings in the United States District Court or the Court of International Trade is necessary. Internally, through one of the subsequent foreign trade zones that was granted originally by the United States, they are operating as a foreign trade zone through their own regulations and everything, and violating international law through the customs duties. Forthwith to cause the proper proceedings to be commenced and prosecuted without delay, post haste, for the recovery of such fine, penalty, or forfeiture in such case provided, unless upon inquiry and examination the Attorney General decides that such proceedings cannot probably be sustained, or that the ends of public justice do not require that they should be instituted or prosecuted, in which case he shall report the facts to the Secretary of the Treasury for his direction in the premises. Oh, come on. Facebook always wants to be slow on me. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, if you look in the chat, there's a comment. Now, that's, like I said, this is a military position here. And name on case, the case number, memorandum of obligations. By these presents, I hereby exercise right of subrogation by surrendering to you my estate in the above described matter in usufruct with any interest in reversion assigned to the Treasury of the United States, to and for the account of the United States, for you to convey to the United States via the enclosed assignment transfer order in exchange for a full acquittance and discharge for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same, pursuant to Section 7, Trading with the Enemy Act, 40 Stat 411, and 50 USC 4305B21. Oops. Suspension of provisions. We are talking about provisional law relating to ally of enemy, regulation of transactions in foreign exchange of gold or silver, property transfers, vested interests, enforcement and penalties. Any payment, conveyance, transfer, assignment, or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States, just like it just stated. What you do is you take that instrument and you deliver it. That's property of the United States because they have interest in it, and you deliver it back to them. Or otherwise directed pursuant to this subdivision or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder, shall to the extent thereof be a full acquittance and discharge for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same. And no person shall be held liable in any court for or in respect to anything done or omitted in good faith in connection with the administration of or in pursuance of and in reliance on this subdivision or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder. No way can they any longer get away with this bullshit, people.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
No, it's no longer going to be put up with. You either comprehend this or you don't. And this, like you said, is beautiful because it's that easy to comprehend. We pulled the verbiage right from their code. Seizure, warrants, and reports. Remember, I keep telling everybody, this is the customs duty, Title 19, Post Office. Headquarters of the Marine Corps, Postal Affairs. Postal officers are special staff officers who manage postal operations and postal service support at Marine Corps installations worldwide and during contingency operations. They serve as installation official mail managers, special staff officers to the commanding general. Libre Code in relations to Article 38 and that commanding general, private property, unless forfeited by crimes or by offenses of the owner, can be seized only by way of military necessity for the support or other benefit of the Army or of the United States. A seizure is in the interest of the United States because it says it can only be done by way of military necessity for the benefit of the Army or of the United States. If the owner has not fled, the commanding officer will cause receipts to be given, which may serve the spoliated owner to obtain indemnity. So you take that nice traffic citation that the officer hands you and you write that indemnification on it and give it right back to that prosecutor. Or you hand it to the customs officer, the postmaster general. You see that? Seizure, in reference to seizures, report to customs officer. If you report it to the customs officer, they now have to report it to the Treasury. That's a must. It's a must. (1601) and 1601A is repealed, but it talks about related to bribery and related to wearing of uniform or badge of Coast Guard or Customs Service while violating revenue laws. If a capital transfer has occurred and the tax has not been paid and can't be proven because the revenue stamp, taxes are duly paid by stamp, not by Federal Reserve notes, and the stamp must be affixed to the legal document transferring the capital, then it is false.
Can I ask you, when they talk about stamp, is that the state seal or is it?
Nope, the revenue stamp, revenue stamp. Seal is different. It's got to have the seal and the stamp.
Okay,
and the
so
signature.
what is the revenue stamp? Is that who gives you
That's
that
showing
stamp?
that the capital transfer tax has been paid. And once it's been paid, the document becomes legal and they have to affix a stamp on it, proving that it is a valid legal transfer.
So who's supposed to do that? The Postmaster General?
Whoever is making the transfer.
Do we know what the stamp look like?
It's just a stamp, 2 cent, just get a 2-cent stamp.
Oh my God.
Are you sure it's not the barcode code number, the IMBP that's on like the
Nope, just a stamp, just 2-cent stamp.
Keith, how does
Okay.
using the stamp pay it? How does it get paid? By
The stamp isn't paying it. Understand,
not
legal
saying it is.
tender is negotiable instruments. That's how you pay, by negotiating the words on the paper, people. That's the payment. Once the payment is done and lawful and valid, then the transfer stamp gets put on it.
Where's the
That's why
tax go?
document out there is nothing but babble because nobody's corrected it.
Got it. Where's the tax go? Who gets paid? IRS?
It's the transfer of the funds behind the scene.
Okay.
They're going to write their script for their compensation. And when you do it appropriately, what you get out of it is a credit transfer.
So when you affix the stamp and stamp it and sign it, that initiates that procedure.
It shows that, yes, you are the contractor and you're the boss of the contract.
I initiate that process by doing that. Yeah.
And that's why I say it's about the taxes, the import and export taxes. The only one that truly pays any kind of tax, if there's a tax, a transfer tax, is the one that wants to export it.
Or better worded, I'm ordering the initiation of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're ordering the export of the information. And what you're doing is exporting the interest and all that back to them. You're reverting their interest in it back to them.
Shit, is that powerful or what?
It is.
Fuck.
You're pointing out that they have a definite interest in here because somebody sees property and they're only supposed to do it by way of military necessity for the Army or the United States. And they're doing it through one of the foreign trade zones that they got under the foreign trade zone grant from the United States.
Cool.
Which is a debt previously contracted.
Ask you, who is the United States leasing the property from? They got all these lease agreements. Who is they leasing it from?
The public coffers. Okay, comprehend. The public entities that pay rent and leases, they pay it to themselves.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
They make themselves the beneficiaries, right?
No, they just put it right back into the coffer. It's just a transfer on their ledger. Okay, boop, this month went here. Okay, put it back. It's zero balances. That's what we're doing. We're gonna zero balance shit just like they do.
They full of they so.
There's nothing they can do about that.
I'm renting my own land. Here's your interest. Protect it. It's an internationally protected person. Guess what? The lease payment is a donation, tax deductible 100%. So now they're going to return it to me and protect me for paying them.
And you do this on an annual basis, and you get a tax credit.
You can do it quarterly or annually. It depends on how you set it up.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
And you can convert that to currency of any
Well,
kind.
you're
Right?
going to convert it to a landing certificate. And we'll talk about this somewhere. Well, let me real quick here. Let me pull it up on this other one. I think it's,
You can convert it to other forms, right? Suitable to your needs.
yes. And this is what we're looking at. Under, oops, wrong one.
I'm gonna go buy me a Bentley.
Okay, real quick, we're running short on time, minute and a half. And 7 U.S. code is the Department of Agriculture and Mechanical Colleges. College aid land appropriation, investment or proceeds of sale of land or scrip. That document you write up, that negotiable instrument, that scrip, it's sale of land or scrip. They're going to sell you land. You're going to sell them the scrip. It's an even exchange, scrip for land, landing certificate.
So you pretty much can do an affidavit, put the dang on stamps on it, sell them the script for a fair exchange, and it's all done.
That's an international bill of exchange.
Yes.
It
It's
isn't
a
an
banker's
affidavit.
acceptance, banker's acceptance, a certified check, bill of exchange, letter of credit. There's so many different things you can call it. It's a negotiable instrument. All you got to do is negotiate it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it needs,
Always-
depending on if it's negotiable, if you want to stop it from being negotiated, or if it can
Yeah.
only be used in that situation.
No more credit default swaps in the background.
Right, I was gonna say that, exactly.
All right, we're out, folks. I'll post all those links. Hit that PayPal link and help me out, guys. I'm doing a lot of work on this. You'd be amazed at how many windows I got open up to show you on Title 19 alone. So remember, I love you guys all. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. God bless. Have a
Love you
great-
too, brother.
All
Love
right,
you
bro.
too, Keith.